Welcome to another episode of In Conversation with Angela T. Jones. I am joined by Tracey Baker-Simmons. And for those of you who do not know who Tracey Baker-Simmons is, she is responsible for us having a plethora of iconic reality television shows, notably being Bobby Brown. Thank you so much for joining me, and I am so honored to meet you.
Well, thank you for having me. Definitely. It's an honor always to talk about my history, but most importantly, to be included in the history of, especially as a female in the industry.
Yes, and let the people know that you are not just a creative, but you are a producer, you have been a showrunner, and you have
Yes.
your own production company.
Yes. So basically, I have my own production umbrella, Baker-Simmons Media. I previously had other companies with partners and things like that, but this is specifically my umbrella. But yes, I've also been a showrunner. I have several projects coming out this year that I've been executive producer on. One for A&E, which can't they have not, I don't think they've announced yet, and a Hulu project which hasn't been announced, and a Showtime project which hasn't been announced. But I'm excited that I am being involved in a lot of new projects this year. And just in the past, I have done other things outside of being Bobby Brown, but definitely one of the most notable is being Bobby Brown.
Yes. You also executive produced the Bobby Christina story,
Yes,
Sugar Plum Twist for Hallmark.
yes, yes, yes. Yes, it was basically, and interestingly enough, so as an executive producer for that film, I was also a creative producer who helped to develop the story and, just making sure that everything and the vision of diversity in that space landed on the screen properly and was total representation of the Latin world, but also Afro Latino. And it was just so much fun to do something as different as a Christmas film, but knowing that the culture is important and telling great stories in that space and allowing the right voices to be heard and seen on and off the camera was important to us. And so that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And yes, I did the Bobby Christina movie. I started out like, although I started out in music videos and commercials, another thing that I did early on in my career was an independent film of the Book of Love. And it's always been my dream to be working honestly in scripted television and in film. And then because when I first started, there was no reality space outside of the show Cops. So I really didn't even, that lane didn't exist. And then as the years went by, cut to 2004, when I developed and created the Being Bobby Brown, the space was just beginning to open up and become prominent. And so it's interesting that I'm always looking for an opportunity to return to the dream of making film and doing scripted television as well.
Yes, you mentioned your career working in music videos. A lot of people, they don't even understand how important a person
Hmm.
behind the camera is when it comes to some of our favorite music videos.
Yes. I mean, I started back in the 90s and I produced videos for Brandy and Immature and Monica and Nas and Montel Jordan and just a plethora of individuals in the hip hop space. Also commercials. We produced some of the first like Sprite Obey Your Thirst spots, like basically segueing hip hop into that commercial world. Might be aging myself as well, but but basically, yeah, I've just spent a lot of my career. And honestly, during that time, a lot of people started music video, commercial, and then they went into features. And if you look at Dominique Senna, Antoine Fuqua, all of those guys were F. Gary Gray. They were music video directors and commercial directors first. And so we learned to tell
Mhm.
story in that way and then segue into the big screen, longer versions, dialogue, etc.
Now let me ask you, do you have any plans on maybe doing something in the action movie space?
I don't really know. No, I don't know. But I never even had an idea that I was going to do a Christmas movie. So you just never know. I'm all about story. I'm all about, and I love our culture and I love just stories for Black and Brown people. I do feel very, very connected. I feel it's important to have the right voices in that space, helping to interpret and share. So clearly, every film, the genesis of everything is the story, whether it's action, horror, or anything else. It really is about a great story. So I'm not going to limit myself anymore. I'm just going to say, I am here to be an amazing story maker with the prefaces of wanting to definitely tell stories that land or are rooted in the in our culture as Black people and Black and Brown people throughout the world.
That's amazing. And I like that you said you didn't plan on doing a Christmas movie, but it happened.
Mhm.
Now,
Exactly.
when
Then
you
I
talk
said,
about,
"Oh, making a Christmas movie."
yeah, yeah, like, oh, okay. When we talk about, you're very passionate about stories about Black and Brown people.
Hmm.
How do you feel about what's currently happening in content now? Because I feel like it's the 90s again. It's like I turn on my TV and I see us almost
Yes,
every
yes.
I and I kind of want to give it credit to the algorithms on the streaming platforms, but
Well, that's one thing. Yeah.
it's so much content that it can't just be the algorithms because I already watched
Hmm.
content with us in it. It's got to be that this content is becoming more and more.
Right. Well, I think Hollywood is seeing the value in a big way, and they're realizing, okay, they do numbers. They do numbers across the world. I remember me when
Mm,
I first came into the business, and I think Tyler Perry talks about this, where they would say, well, no, we don't distribute Black films internationally. And now, I mean, I do think we have hip hop to also thank for this because hip hop culture became like just like a world phenomenal and
mm,
basically from that people were able to really sort of dig in and appreciate our culture and us and our stories, and that has like just opened the floodgates for opportunities for us to really share
mm.
and be able to create more. One, because it's making money. Two, because there's an interest worldwide.
And that's an excellent point. Hollywood always likes to make money, like even off of what
First.
they might do pop. Some of
First,
the
they want
money
to
back.
make money. Yes, first they want to
Right.
make money, and then everything else.
Right.
Then tell great stories.
Exactly. Now, one thing that I also wanted to hit on is the fact that it's not a lot of women, particularly Black women, in your position where you
Mhm,
have the ability to create these amazing stories and bring them in front of an audience. But you
mhm.
offer the opportunity for people to learn from you, right?
Yes, I do. I I originally launched a platform while I'm also teaching, just because like I didn't go to film school. I went to business school,
Mhm.
and I was able to really like teach myself how to produce. And I just wanted to open that space up because in order for us to have more Black stories, you need more Black producers. Not that other producers can't tell our stories, but the opportunity is there for us to tell our stories. So I really wanted to help people learn about the industry and really dig in and get, some real knowledge, learn from my mistakes so they don't have to make those mistakes that can cost you a lot of money sometimes. But also, like, I'm passionate about teaching because I love to learn. And I taught at Emory University. I am an executive producer and resident at Clark Atlanta University right now. So that's a big thing for me. Like when kids come to work with me, I'm teaching. My internship program feels like a crash course in the business, and
Mhm.
I give them a blueprint of the industry, making sure you understand the terminology, because we use a lot of acronyms in our business. And just I want people to feel feel like they have a good base. And I'm really sharing things that you may not necessarily learn in film school, because a lot of times you're in school and the individuals are teaching to books because they have not necessarily had the experience. So I wanted to share from a vast amount of knowledge and experience, but with the heart of just hoping that we continue to build and create a new crop of creatives out here that's just sharing, Black stories first and foremost, but just stories of people of color. And yeah, to really be making the space bigger and inviting more females and males and every other sorts into the space.
That's wonderful. And we are going to share with people how they'll be able to connect with you if they want to learn from you and have that
Yes.
opportunity, because that is a
Hmm.
golden opportunity. And I appreciate you offering it to people. Sometimes people, they don't know what direction to turn to,
Hmm.
and now they'll be able to you as a resource for their goals and their skill set to be a producer, a script writer,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
showrunner. So
Yes.
what is one piece of advice that you would give to people that you wish you had known when you started, that you think really helped you get to where you are?
Oh God, what did I wish I knew? Well, I mean, I was never afraid to read a book. And you know what? The biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask questions. And it's the weirdest business, but it is built on being willing to volunteer or to intern, I should say. But really, every time that I've ever, even in between the ebbs and flows of the industry, anytime I've offered myself to do something, to volunteer, to help, or share with someone, or just give them some advice, or give them a reference, it's always come, that energy and that gift has always come back to me at tenfold every time. So I
Mm,
really wish people would just don't freak out about sharing, or don't, no, you don't want to give people your ideas, but if someone
right.
asks you for something simple, there are times when people will say to me, I have this project, say for instance, it's a talk show and I don't
Okay.
do talk. And they may say, can you help me? Or I'm looking for a producer. And if I know someone who I can introduce them to, or yeah, a gentleman recently wanted to do a show with a judge. And I said, I've never done a court show. That's not my thing. I love watching them. But let me introduce you to someone who I feel that can help you. I
Hmm.
don't want to hinder your project by adding myself. So now your project's becoming top heavy before you can even get it out the gate, which is
Hmm.
sometimes a deterrent for a network. So I really wish that we all understood the gift of giving, the gift of
Mm,
servitude, the gift of being open to sharing, because every time it's going to return to you and you will be able to receive. Like, I got into the business because I was volunteering literally at a high school for troubled teens out of college. Because I had decided I was not going to go into pharmaceutical sales. I was basically bartending in between the transition of sorting where I would go to work. I was able to meet LA and Babyface. And then I was volunteering at a high school in Atlanta with these kids. And the guy from Warner Brothers came as a speaker and said, oh, are you a teacher? And I said, no, I'm marketing and finance. And basically gave him my resume. And then he then in turn hired me. Simply, I was there volunteering. giving my time to teach something I love to do, but was willing to do. And I have no idea why I even signed up to do that. When I look back, I'm like, why? How did I even end up at that school? And why was I doing that in between working and everything? But literally met the guy, and that started my path and my career in entertainment.
Wow. That is an amazing origin story.
Literally. And he was just like, and I was like, oh, I was working and I met these two guys and they said their names was L.A. Reid and, Antonio Reid, I said, and I was like, and Kenny, and then he was like, oh, L.A. and Babyface, and I just was like, oh, let me do a little research, I guess so. Because I really knew nothing about the business. But the guy saw me there, he saw me giving of myself, and then he basically, I guess, had some conversations. And next thing I know, he said, would you be willing to come and work as an intern? I said, sure. More volunteering. And then he gave me three books to read, Hitman, he gave me a billboard, he gave me another magazine called R&R. You really need to study this, you need to understand this world. I did this for about 2 or 3 months, and then he said, okay, we need a marketing and promotions person, so we're going to hire you.
Wow. Wow. All from you choosing to volunteer. That is amazing.
Yes.
That is really amazing. Now, you have had the opportunity to work in different cities as well.
Hmm.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite city to work in?
Oh God, Atlanta would hate me if I don't say it. But honestly, I think it just depends. I enjoyed my time in Connecticut during the Christmas movie. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed that time in that space because it was a part of the country I'd never been in or spent a lot of time in, and it was beautiful. So I really enjoyed that. I like shooting in Atlanta just because it's my, like, I know the city. It's where I started. My roots are there. I know a lot of people there. But I also like shooting in New York. I love New York. I really, really do.
I follow you on Instagram and I see some of your pictures from New York, and I'm like, with the sun,
I know, a little girl from Tennessee, braving the big city. Yes, I love it here.
that is a wonderful thing. What would you tell your younger self if you had the opportunity to go back? What is something
Hmm.
that maybe you would encourage her to do or make sure that she did? Because I know some people will say they'll go
Hmm.
back and tell themselves to avoid something or don't do something.
Hmm.
What would you
Hmm.
tell that younger version of Tracey to
Hmm.
still keep her to where you are today?
So I would say to my younger self, it's gonna be fine. It's all gonna work out. This is simply your path, and this is how you're gonna get there. Simple as that. I don't know if I would change anything because honestly, it's all, it builds you. Every experience, you're using it for the next, and we are uniquely built and designed. We really have to have the experiences that we're having in order to be and fulfill the mission purpose that we're here for. So I honestly would just ensure her that everything's okay. Like even when she can't catch her breath, it's fine. This is part of your path. It's okay. Keep going. Keep going.
That's amazing. And that's I think at some point we all need to do that. Even with our adult selves, who we are, this is
Mm-hmm.
what we're meant to do. This is our path. Like I said, I didn't want
Yes.
to ask you what you would change, but what would you do to
Right.
make sure you still got to where you are today?
Right.
Now, Tracy, I have a little game,
Okay.
and this is called Flip It, Clear It, or Quiz It. And
Okay.
here's the if you select flip it, you get to turn the tables and interview me and ask me a couple of questions. If you
Okay.
decide to clear it, you get to clear up any misinformation or rumors about yourself or your industry. And I know,
Okay.
people think they know everything, so they say all
Yes.
stuff about your industry, but you get the chance to clear that up. And if you choose quiz it, then I ask you a culturally relevant trivia question. And it could be about anything,
Hmm.
movies, the music, or TV, anything. It could be about
Okay.
anything. So you could flip it, clear it, or quiz it.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm
Which,
supposed to pick one of those now.
yep, whichever way.
Um, I'll pick clear it.
Okay, what misinformation would you like to clear up about yourself or your industry?
Okay. So reality television is real. It is definitely absolutely rooted in real stories and real information that we gather from these individuals' lives. We are not creating a life for these people. It is really their story, their experience. Now, we might choose a location for this to unfold or for them to address certain things, but it's real. It really is. It has real context to it. It's not some all made up make believe. People get upset when they see themselves, and sometimes they get frustrated and they want to say, that didn't happen. And yes, everything that you do or say is not included in the edit because we might be shooting you for an hour and we only have 4 or 5 minutes to narrow that down. But it is real. It's real people's lives. It's some real stuff that's happening.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Like, let's clear this up right now.
Yeah, let's just clear this up right here and right now.
This is definitely real, okay?
Yes,
A
yes,
lot of people do have they don't believe that reality TV is not scripted. They
yes,
think people are
exactly.
reading lines, just like they would for a movie, and they go into these
Mhm.
scenarios with these lines already memorized,
Yeah,
and these interactions are completely false. And it's like, but
no.
why would we do that?
And they're not professional actors, so how would they even pull that off, to be honest? They might in their own heads sometimes the talent is working to produce themselves or I'm gonna do it this way, but that always reads and we always have to shut it down because we know it and we read it and it's gonna read. But no, they're not even do they get information or we're saying, hey, we want to cover you having the talk with your kid. But
Mhm.
beforehand, we've had a pre-interview with them. We've done what we call insights to understand where are you in your life right now? What's going on with you and your family? How are you and your husband? How are you and your kids? What's going on with your kids? Oh, so and so's turning 16. They're going to be learning how to drive. Great. We can shoot a scene with you teaching them how to drive.
Mhm.
Or they tell us things that help us shape how we get into these things or topics with them, but we're not making it up and writing scripts to give to them as if they're actors. They are characters. They definitely are characters in stories, but they're not actors.
They're not actors. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Tracy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your very busy schedule to be my guest
Oh,
today and
thank
to
you for
be
having me.
you. It's a wonderful to talk to you and learn. There's things that I didn't know because I don't know everything at all. And I like
Yes,
to take the opportunity to learn about people and their industries and just I like to gather information. I'm one of these people I like to
yes,
soak up knowledge. I'm like a sponge. That's just how I am. So
that's
for me,
awesome.
it's a wonderful experience, and I really appreciate you. And I am going to be watching. Like when you can announce what you
Yes, I will.
trust and believe. I'm a fan.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, I need all the support I can get, and I look forward to it, and I appreciate it, and maybe you guys will have me back, and anything that I can share to help you guys share. I'm open and, just reach out and say, Tracy, send me that, or send me something exclusive. I'm ready. Don't worry. I really appreciate the love and support.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy Baker Simmons, and this has
Thank
been
you.
In Conversation with Angela T. Jones, the companion podcast for Detroit CEO Magazine. We will see you again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you.